sort of more dominant voices, led by Nehru, wanted to preserve India. So they settled on a perfect compromise. The constitution speaks of India, that is Bharat. So both names are equally valid. And there's Article 52 that says there shall be a president of India. And the Hindi version says Bharat ke Rashtrapati, that is the president of India in Hindi. And many Indian languages use Bharat or a form of Bharat, Bharatam and so on as the name for the country. So it was actually working perfectly well. And I think one of the great things that Nehru understood, or two of the great things that he understood at that time, was that by remaining India, India established itself as a successor state to the British Raj in India, from which Pakistan was seceding. If we had adopted the name Bharat and Pakistan in Pakistan, then India would have been the name for the collective subcontinent, but no longer for any one country, and even legally that would have been problematic. Secondly, there is the undoubted fact that that India is a name that's been around for a very long time, and that is redolent with history and with various associations. The defenders of this proposed change in the ruling party say that India was imposed on us by British colonialism, and it's part of our colonized mindsets we need to get rid of. I'm sorry to say that it's completely wrong. The name India exists for a couple of thousand years. When the British were still running around in skins, far from colonizing India. And if you go back to 2,000 years ago to the writings of Herodotus, Megasthenes, the Greek historians, they spoke of India. The idea is that the river Sindhu or Indus was the defining element. What lay beyond was India. And interestingly enough, the Persians couldn't pronounce the S. So the Sindhu, the people beyond the Sindhu, they wanted to call them by some name, so they said they're the Hindus. Now, if you start abolishing the name India, you'll have to start abolishing the term Hindu as well. And no longer will the BJP be able to announce, say with pride that you are Hindu. That's exactly the same etymology as saying, say with pride that I'm Indian, which I do, and we've all been doing for 75 years.
I think the idea is, because I was listening to the foreign minister explain it in one of the TV interviews, the idea is just to introduce Bharat more prominently in the national discourse. He was saying that many countries have two names, right?
Germany and Deutschland.
Yeah.
But
Japan,
it's Germany in English and internationally, and it's Deutschland in Germany.
So I think what he was hinting at is that, like, the Japanese call their country Nippon, and so we'll call our country Bharat, but for outside purposes, for the rest of the world, it'll remain India. Because if you change India to Bharat officially in the UN, the Pakistanis will lay claim to the name. That will be the biggest irony of it all. So, who knows? I think it's mainly.
Yeah, but in that case, the entire thing is completely pointless because we already have the right to use both names.
They're introducing it into the public discourse. I think that's how I read it. I don't know, but I could be wrong.
It's just the mix-up, Mr. Modi sitting behind a nameplate at the G20 that said Bharat in Roman letters, which frankly made no sense because, or the president issuing her official invitations as the president of Bharat. I mean, that's actually a contradiction of Article 52 of the Constitution. She's the president of India, or if she wants to write her invitation card in Hindi, she's the Rashtrapati of Bharat. But she can't possibly mix the two up. It really doesn't make any sense. And that's the flaw in this nativist assertion of Bharat.
But the BJP is pretty good at mixing things up. The
It
Lotus.
is a weapon of mass distraction, I have to say. They love coming up with these controversies that take us away from the real problems facing the country today, a few months before a general election, where the issues of unemployment
Look at the G20. The symbol was the lotus, which happens to also be the.
That is the ruling party, yeah. And in fact, Mr. Modi's picture, some journalists calculated, occurred every 50 meters in every corner of India. I'm sorry, every corner of the capital, Delhi. Every 15 meters you could see Mr. Modi's picture as part of the G20 promotion. Do you know that we spent 10 times more than the Germans did to run our G20? And we have, what, 1/7